What's happening, everybody? This is K2 with United Souls Crew. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into episode 4, United Souls Score. This was our first huge challenge, United Souls versus the Mountain, walking up to Lake Arrowhead. United Souls won, Mountain 0. We did it. We beat the Mountain, even though, as you saw in the episode, we did get chased by a bunch of dogs. I'm really excited to do the deep dive on the Google Earth so we can see a little bit of what that area looked like from above. It's kind of hard to tell in the episode. Being on the ground, you kind of get a little taste of it as Cam was doing a lot of the video work in this episode. He was shooting back, showing you like where we were just had been and kind of how far we went along the way. So it was pretty neat. So I'm excited to be able to kind of do an overview a little bit later on. We're in it now. We are now out of the comforts of the city and the towns that we all grew up in and we lived in. And now we are kind of out in the mountains. And this was our first big adventure, kind of making some serious decisions of how we were going to approach our day-to-day walk, and weighing the benefits of following alongside the road, taking a shortcut, which in this case did not end up being a shortcut, even though you'll see when we look at the map, it looks like a shortcut. But yeah, was it worth it? It's hard to say. This was a big episode. This was, again, getting down to that feeling of survival and realizing that anything could happen at this point, that we are putting ourselves out there and there's no guarantees each day to make it from point A to point B. It was going to be up to ourselves and kind of our mental, physical toughness to kind of get through each day as we went along. So I'm excited about this episode, excited to share with you. We're here again with Rocco. We're going to do a deep dive. How you doing, Rocco?
Doing great. Another exciting episode. This is actually nice to see you guys actually get out into the wilderness.
Yeah.
I don't know, it made me laugh a few times when I was watching it, and some of Cam's comments about, basically if you have snot, you just wipe it off and keep going. Felt like that kind of simplified the whole idea of getting things done. Is how you do it is you just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that mentality we were starting to really get to learn and understand as we went forward. It's kind of a day to day, and yeah, just wiping off the snot and keep on moving. No time to kind of really sit back and let things go, because the day was moving, time would start getting, becoming critical, where it starts getting dark, it starts getting cold. Again, you'll see in the next couple episodes where it gets even crazier than this, with learning those type of things, with, how much time you have in a day to cover your goals, to walk what you're supposed to walk, to get to our end goal and stuff like that.
Did you guys continue to wander off the path and try and take shortcuts? Or did you learn from your mistakes after getting chased by packs of wild dogs?
Yeah, well, we definitely, I would say, we definitely learned from that to an extent. We definitely learned a couple things. One, we had a lot of wild dogs run up on us in different places and different times. This was probably the first and only time that we ran, just straight ran, just like, out of just complete fear of not knowing what to do. We just scampered up and just booked. We all went in kind of separate directions and we just ran up. We weren't even really thinking about it. We just automatically reacted that way. Other times we had other times where even meaner dogs looking just ran right up and we just stayed still, let them come up and sniff us. And a lot of times we're able to diffuse the situation, but other times, we just let them, other times just run up to us basically. I got a technique a little bit later on. It took a couple months, where one time I had a dog just come screaming, running up to me. And I basically looked around, I grabbed a stick, and as soon as it got close to me, I just got the stick ready and just threw it. And it just immediately snapped and changed its focus and direction and went and got the stick and then wanted to play and stuff like that. So that was an interesting technique that we started to kind of really think about and use, because we were around a lot of different types of animals as we went very close. Definitely learned to kind of try to take experiences as they come and not try to get too far ahead in our heads, thinking about what was going on or what could happen or what could potentially happen. We did keep taking shortcuts though. We would get, but at least we would get, once we started moving, we were able to meet people, meet a lot more locals. So we started to, ask a lot more and meet people that were giving us shortcuts that they knew for sure would work. This was our first, like, we don't know anything. Let's just see what happens. And we put ourselves out there and like I said, you could tell that it really took a toll on pretty much all of us. Like we were really, tired, and it could have gone a lot worse. Luckily, Dragon was able to continue on to make it up to the top, because there's some spots that if you get stuck in the middle, there's nothing that's going to be able to get you but a helicopter, which again happened about 4 days later, where we did have a helicopter have to come and get Jordan and Doomster off the trail because they were lost and we couldn't find them, and they had been gone for 2 days and still hadn't made it to camp. But that's coming up in a couple days, where we got our first helicopter ride, and that was even more of a pain because the helicopter couldn't even land where we were camped out. The helicopter had to go to where we were 2 days before and drop them off just at a sheriff's station. And they were, and Derek, the Doomster, and Jordan, they were just kind of stuck there. But luckily, they were able to find someone to give them a ride out to where we were. And and that's a whole other situation, because by the time they got to us, we had the van stuck in a river. And so they got dropped back off with us with the van stuck in a river. It was a mess. Because we tried to get the van. Yeah, we'll save that for next week. That'll be a good story, and we have some background footage for that, for some of the adventures of the mothership on the next leg, which was out of control, where that car had to drive and stuff like that.
I wanted to ask Cam how much camping he's done since the war.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, did I tell you about that?
Well, you told me it was his first time ever camping.
Right.
I knew that, but I mean, either that go camping
I told
embrace it and love it, or never go camping again. I can't understand why people would.
Well, I do have to make a clarification, because I did talk to Cam after that episode, and he had been camping before. I was incorrect. Jono had never been camping, but Cam, he had camped before.
In this episode, in the beginning, you mentioned something about Happy, and I heard you say something about drywall or something. Like he was working on a project ahead of you guys. Did you wind up meeting up with him? Yeah. We met up with Happy a few times, in and out, and like I said, from the Love-In where we were at, a few days before, where Happy was at, where he was at his annual picnic that he holds. He then pretty much drove with his family in the bus. They drove up to a spot that was maybe like a week or so ahead of us, where he had a job actually doing some drywall, fixing up a studio, doing some stuff. He was trying to score a generator for them, for their bus, and just another generator that we would have on the road, because his plan was to follow us as far as they could make it. They ended up getting to up to about Vegas, and then they kind of turned back, but we all hung out in Vegas together. But Happy was up around the corner, where we met up with him at some campgrounds a couple days later after this episode. All right, so let's do a deep dive into the Google Earth and get a look at what this was here. So here we are. This is getting up into Lake Arrowhead, up around the Big Bear area. For any of you Californians know, this is where you can go up and go skiing. You can be down on the beach during the day, and then you can head up to Lake Arrowhead or go up to Big Bear and put down your surfboard and get up the snowboard. And that was one of the cool things about California, is you could really have any type of topography you want, from desert to the beach to tropical Jurassic Park like jungle to any type of climate within an hour from Los Angeles. That's what we did every weekend pretty much. We would drive out and go on an adventure to some kind of a really cool place. So here is Lake Arrowhead, and kind of the mountain going up, and this is where you can kind of see. This was basically where we went. You can see the little outcropping right here. We started that day. We kind of walked right along this
this rim here, and then we kind of went straight up this way, where you can see this little compound that we didn't see. We didn't have Google Earth on our phones or anything like that to kind of really get a good idea, but this was like a crazy junkyard kind of compound over here, and it was just surrounded by maybe 6 or 7 just dogs that were just roaming the property. And when we got about right up to here, the dogs saw us, and they just all ran towards us as fast as they could, and we just scattered and ran straight up the side, up to the mountain over here on this side. And then that pretty much was the rest of our day. You can kind of see walking along the crest lines of these mountains and just kind of slowly working our way up to the top, where it's, let's see if I can get up over there. Up to the top here, and this is where we ended the day. And it actually got really steep at the last part, was pretty steep. You had to kind of climb with your hands and feet to get up this last part. But you can kind of
using ropes at one point.
Yeah, we had a rope at the end to pull up a dragon and just to put it down, because he was completely out of gas and had nothing left. Like I said, I think he tore some kind of a muscle inside his leg, or he was having a real rough time. And it was one of those things. It seemed like as soon as we got up to the top of one mountain, it was kind of, then we had to go down and then go back up again. So it was like up and down and up and down. And just so you could see kind of where at least our early logic was in this walk. This is where we were right here. And our option was continue on the 18, which went all the way down here, all the way back, wind it all the way up the mountainside, which is also a pretty treacherous road, with a cliffside. It's kind of like that cliffside road where there's not much room to walk along the side, and all the way up here to go up there. I mean, that was at least probably 4 to 5 times, maybe even, of the amount of distance it took us to just cut straight across. I mean, it seemed, okay, we'll just go from here to here, or all of this. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I still might want to go that way again if I had the choice, and I would just know that don't go by that little dogs. I would probably try to catch this mountain ridge a little bit earlier, possibly, especially now that we have GPS, so we can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on. I think it was just so distressing, the unknown of not knowing how long it was going to take. We were still just getting used to these kind of walks. I mean, we had only really walked blocks, city blocks. So now we're doing mountains up and down and trying to, navigate. And when you're in the middle of it and it feels like this is just taking forever and you're never going to make it, but that was less mileage than we did in all the days, so far. Because this was, not a long hike, but it was just grueling because of the up and down. And again, that not knowing really what's around the corner, and, something that might only really take you 3 hours to do, or end up being like the longest 3 hours of your life, because you just don't know when it's going to end. You don't know where it's going to go. It's just kind of like...
Is this one of the times on the hike where you really started to think about supplies, like water and things, where you're going off the road into the woods? You don't know when you're going to be able to get to another water source.
Yeah, it was definitely the start. Probably was more of the end of this trip, that we, once we got to the top, I think it really sunk in the seriousness of what could happen if we weren't prepared. Like I said, luckily we had enough to get to where we were trying to go, because it was a very, in the scheme of things, it was a relatively short day. It didn't take us, very long. I mean, a few hours. I mean, I just don't know. I think it was like maybe 4 hours to do that part, So, we definitely we still had enough supplies, but it did come to our attention, like, hey, if someone got hurt or if we did get stranded, we need to make sure we have better representation of our supplies and snacks so that we could, if we needed to, make camp somewhere in the middle there and take our time to take another day, because we weren't in any type of time rush. We could take our time. again, I say that now, and in the next episode, you can see, or actually 2 more episodes, a complete catastrophe as far as supply management and not having food, not having water. So that wraps up episode 4, United Soul Score. I hope you guys are enjoying these rewind episodes as we kind of, we're going a little bit deeper into the walk. You know, the episodes themselves are kind of just fun music and scenery and talking to people, but I'm hoping in these rewind episodes, me and Rocco, and if we can get any other guys to join in, we're kind of just talking about stuff that we learned, lessons that we came across, kind of going a little bit more in depth now that we've had some time to kind of reflect on the adventure. And we're excited to share with you the adventure and also the insights that we gained along the way, things that we've learned, tips and tricks that you might be able to use on your adventures, ways to navigate your own creativity and inspiration. So I really hope you're enjoying this. As always, I hope you're liking and subscribing to our videos. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the future, more shows, more activities, bigger projects. I'm really excited to show you a little bit about what me and Rocco are doing over here at this building at WagonWorks. That'll be its own video that we're going to try to do real soon, showcase this building and maybe meet even some of the other artists and things like that, see some of the studio spaces. You'll be able to see kind of what has grown since then, since the walk of, again, a lot of the projects that we've been working on. Thanks again, everybody. Stay inspired. Keep walking one step at a time. You're going to get there in the end. Peace and love. We'll see you next week.